For today's lesson, we have Chapter 7, Lesson 4, Solving and Writing Multiplication Equations. For vocabulary, we just have one word. The word is coefficient. Try and say that to yourself. Coefficient. Coefficient, coefficient. What that word means is that whenever we have a number next to a letter, that number is called the coefficient. So what you need to write down is when there is a number with a variable. So in this example, 3x equals 9. I'm going to just write it. 3x equals 9. The coefficient in this problem is 3 because that is the number that's right next to the letter. And that will be true for all numbers that are next to the variable. It's always just the number that would be the coefficient. Alright, in this problem we have 2x equals 10 and we need to solve. So I have 2x equals 10. I know that my variable is x, my coefficient is 2, and that equals 10. I'm trying to solve for my variable. Right now I have 2 times x. So I'm going to do the opposite of that and I'm going to divide by 2. And I'm going to do that on both sides. This 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm just left with 1x. And this goes away. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my solution is x equals 5. If I plugged 5 back in, I would have 2 times 5 equals 10. And I know that that is correct, so my solution is right. My favorite, get the variable alone. It's just going to help you when problems get a little bit harder. So like you know, the solution should be 2. 3 times 2 is 6. You just know that. But I'm going to show you with my method of drawing the wall. Right now, I want my variable to be by itself on one side of the wall. Right now it's not because it's with the coefficient of 3. 3 is right next to it and I need to get rid of it. I know that this is technically 3 times x. So if I do the opposite, I'm going to divide by 3. And this line means divide. So divide by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So that leaves me with just 1x. And then that equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2. And like I said earlier, if I plugged 2 back into my equation, I would have 3 times 2 equals 6, and that is true. George and some friends shared the cost of a package of blank CDs. The package cost $24, and each person contributed $6. How many people shared the cost of the CDs? Okay. I need to write an equation, and my total is going to equal 24. If each person paid $6, I need to know how many people paid. So 6 times x, because I don't know how many people there are, so I'm going to just put an x there. Well, I need to figure out what that x is. So x times 6 equals 24. What times 6 gives me 24? I know that 4 times 6 would give me 24. So x equals 4. To double check, I could divide by 6 on both sides. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So I know that my solution is 4. Okay, in this problem, again, it's a multiplication equation, but this time we have decimals. So we have 3.28 times x equals 19.68. So I can't do this mental math. So again, go back to my handy dandy trick of getting the x alone. I'm going to divide by 3.28 on both sides because I want to get that x by itself on the side of the wall. 3.28 divided by 3.28 leaves me with 1x. And then I need to do 19.68 divided by 3.28. Remember, I need to move my decimal so it works. So now it's here. I move it 2 spots. Now it's there. In order to see how many times 328 goes into 1,968, I'm just going to kind of guess and check. And I'll do that in black ink up here on the side. And I'm going to round that up to 2,000 and stick that to 300. And I would say 300 goes into 2,000 about 6 times. So I'm going to try and see what 328 times 6 is. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 4 would be 16. And then 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So 1,968. Ooh, fancy that. It fits in perfectly. So then I would just bring up my decimal and it'd be a 0. So my solution is x equals 6. We have another decimal problem that we can practice with. So 2.25n, that means 2.25 times n, equals 6.75. I have my wall. I'm going to do a purple wall. And my n, my variable, is not by itself. Right now it's multiplied by 2.25. So I want to undo it and I want to divide by 2.25. If I do that on one side, I have to do it to the other side. And I'm left with n over here. And boys and girls, be careful that you don't subtract or add or do anything like that. This line means divide. So I have to take 6.75 and divide it by 2.25. If I move my decimal over, it's now right here. And I want to know how many times 225 goes into 675. Again, I'm going to round or estimate how many times 200 goes into 600, and I'm going to say about 3 times. And I can then do this on the side. 225 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry my 1. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 3 times 2 is 6. 675 fits perfect. Bring up my decimal, 3.0. N equals 3.